I just want to go over a couple of examples where we've actually fixed some tax messes. And I'll go over these mainly because there might be people out there that have got a bit of an issue and they think, oh, gee, I don't know what I can do here. Is there a solution? Maybe I better put my head in the sand because nobody will know what to do. But I can tell you, I have fixed the mess of so many people over the years. Talk about Steve. He came to me, hadn't lodged a tax return for over 20 years. And you might think, what, 20 years? How can anyone not lodge a tax return in 20 years? Well, let me tell you, I've got a lot of examples of that. And he was worried about the knock at the door. He'd sold a few businesses, he'd made a bit of extra money on different things, he traded personally, and had done many things over that period. He didn't know where to begin. Well, we sat down. It took us a little bit of work, to be quite honest, to go through and try to work out what he did over those periods, what we could get from the tax office in terms of pre-fills, and how we could put it together. And then within 3 months, it was done. We worked it through. There's a fair bit of working through on Excel spreadsheets to minimise a few things and play with it, as you can imagine. There's no tax payable, no penalties followed, and Steve was able to get on with business without the problem or the negativity associated with having lodged a tax return. And I often say this, and I think I might have even mentioned in some of my blogs, that when a person has issues with tax or it's a bit like having a mess in their house. They can't get on with life. Every time they go to get a loan or they look to buy a new car, the first thing that the lender will ask, have you done your tax return? Can I have a copy of your tax return? Give me your details of your accountant so I can just check. And of course they know that. And it causes a massive problem. And it actually weighs people down. And he was so relieved, and he even said to me, it actually took a burden off his shoulders. And his business has grown. I'm just trying to think, probably about 3 or 4 times since then. This year's going to be a massive year for him. And I think part of it is that he now no longer has that negativity associated with the burden of not having his taxes done. And we all in life want to do the right thing, and not having your tax done can be one of those negativities that can hold you back in life. And it's a little bit like when you come back from the tip after disposing of all your rubbish, or you empty the bin, you feel good. And the same applies to tax. When you get your house in order, when things are neat and tidy, you feel better, and you're able to focus now on the future, not on the past. You're able to direct your attention towards making money rather than worrying about the tax office and what penalties might apply. If they catch me, what will they do to me? Will they jail me? Will they, etc., etc.? And of course, it weighs you down and holds you back. Another example, we had Val and Dave, and these are real people, that's their name, Val and Dave. It's not the picture of them, of course. They were 4 years behind in their BASs. The tax office were on their tail. They were hassling them like crazy. At first they fined them $170 for every BAS that was outstanding. 4 years, you can imagine, 16 BASs. Then they hit them for $500 for every BAS was outstanding. And then they started to hit them for $1,500. In other words, the client wasn't paying attention. They're trying to get the client's focus and attention. Even got to a point where they're threatening court action. We were trying to get them up to date, but the client was slow getting the information to us. And at one stage, their penalties and interest were over $25,000, just in penalties and interest. And it was affecting their ability to function. They were stressed. And let me tell you, they were in fact suicidal. They didn't know what to do. And this happens. As I said, we all want to do the right thing. And when life comes in the way, and in this case, Val and Dave, they were caught in the 2011 floods in Brisbane. They'd lost a lot of things. They got depressed. They got behind. There were a few health issues. I think the health issues came from the fact that they were behind in tax. And the tax officer on their tail, almost wanting to take them to jail. And that's what they felt. In 6 months, we had them sorted. Fixed all the messes up, got all the lodgements up to date. We went back to the tax office and said, the reason they got behind was because they had all these issues. that suffer from depression. I think they suffer from depression because of the tax, but anyway, the tax office forced it onto them. They've been through the floods, etc., etc. The tax office wiped all the fines. And I've got to say, at the moment, I've got a 100% success rate on fine remission, so I'm feeling good about that. In this case, over $25,000 worth of fines were totally wiped off their account. And of course, now they were able to get on and do what they do best, which was entertainment. They're entertainers. I'll give you another example of fixing a tax mess. Peter and Jan, and that's the real name. I won't give you their last name, but that's the real name. They had a barbecue one day, and Jan confided in her sister that she hadn't done a tax return, and she was a bit worried because they were coming up to a Centrelink situation to get a pension, and tax returns had not been done since 2000, and their sister was a client of ours. They ran quite a large business, and she was shocked. She was shocked. She said, "Jan, how come you haven't done your tax? I cannot believe you could be so slack." And Anna immediately rang me and said, "Look, can you help? I know there's a problem. If there's any cost to do this, I'll pay it. I need to get Peter and Jan sorted." Well, let me tell you, there wasn't any cost, because they'd been in business, they'd also worked, they had tax deducted from salaries, they had the tax office owed them something like, I think it was $20,000 or $18,000. So when we did all the taxes, 17 years worth, unbelievable, 17 years, and I think it was about 30 or 40 basses, I can't remember now. Tax office owed them nearly $20,000. So of course our fees were covered by the refunds, and after refunds got back $17,124. So as you can see, the problem was unfounded. And as I said earlier, planning does matter. The ATO will have you believe that if you earn high income, the tax is inevitable. That in life, there are only two things that are certain: death and taxes. Well, I can tell you in my 30 years in the profession, they've taught me one thing: that death is the only certainty in life.